this venture is that they can better illuminate the path for someone who's thinking of starting and tap more freshly into the questions you might have regarding new media. As a premise, and this comes from my work as a professor of Italian studies here in the US at Villanova University, I would say that learning about YouTube, so about how it works and how to use it, is actually a similar experience to learning a new language. So I will try to explain why you should learn YouTube in the same way as I try to convince my students that in our world, it is really necessary to speak another language or a language other than English. So in dealing with the question, why should I study Italian? I always start with the usual list of attractions and opportunities. And in a similar way, if I were to explain in mere descriptive terms, I would start with YouTube listing the features that make it appealing. So first, YouTube has actually taken the spot of TV, and we'll see this also with Instagram as well. So there is a void. The use of TV is less and less prominent with younger generations. They all use platforms like social media or YouTube and Instagram. Second, YouTube creates habits and consuming patterns. Third, YouTube has great analytics and they are for free. So analytics are actually the ability to gain insight on your audience. And we live in an age where this is really an exciting opportunity to get yourself out there and have your work known. Four, and this is the most important, YouTube rewards content. So the monetization program starts with 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time. So YouTube rewards not the views, but the actual watch time. And the key for success is not really buying or getting customers through cheap language, as perhaps you can do in certain social media, but it's really about getting them to engage with your content. So from what I said, YouTube, and this is the interesting part for me, has to do with substance and real people. Now, moving beyond descriptive terms, what is my experience of it? To go back to our starting point, I think you would rather pay attention to someone who has traveled to Italy rather than hear someone who lists its attractions. So this is the reason why tonight I'll talk to you about my journey on YouTube and the journey of my show, which is Italian Innovators. It's a journey that lasted over the past 2 years. And I'll tell you about my mistakes, my discoveries, my doubts, my excitement. And hopefully this will elicit your curiosity and perhaps make you consider undertaking this path, which requires a lot of work, but also might open a lot of unexpected discoveries. So tonight in particular, I want to point your attention to 3 questions. Why did I start? How did I move forward? And what do you gain? What does one gain in doing this? So why did I start? Well, this is me a couple of years ago. I'm an academic, and my path in academia over the past 15 years has been pretty successful for the standards of my profession. I moved to the US 15 years ago, studied at Notre Dame, met my wife there, got my PhD from Harvard, got into a tenure track position at Villanova, where I direct the Italian Studies program, wrote a book, The Art of Objects, on the origins of Italian design, won a prize with it, and got tenure with it. So it was good, but then what? That was like the burning question that came out. And with it, other questions, which were the following. How do I keep my achievements fresh, alive, and not turn them into pieces of a museum? How do I learn a new language? I speak a few already, and for my formation, I realized that translating what I know in other languages is always a way forward. And third, how do I talk about my research with my friends and with common people and not just with my peers? That's a genuinely human desire. So these questions that I dare to ask were the real trigger to not fall into midlife complaint, sort of like a default background noise, or not fall into kind of an attitude of making excuses on myself. Rather, these questions became a personal wake-up call and an opportunity for professional and human growth. So I decided to start a podcast. This is the first logo, as a way to learn a new language, reach new people outside my pool, and make my book come alive. As a way to kind of showcase it. Podcasting is a growing industry, and if you're interested, we can certainly talk about it later, but I won't get into details now. What I had at the time was a lot of content, but I needed to learn how to speak a different language. So it felt like I was pouring good wine in plastic solo cups. And I realized soon that I really needed to learn how to say solid things in the light format of a podcast. And I needed to learn how to gain authority, not by virtue of my titles, but rather by virtue of substance and fascination, the attraction that I was able to generate with what I was saying, in me first, and then for the people who follow me, for them. So the podcast started really as a self-challenge, but really people started to like it, and even colleagues started to see the value of this new way of promoting academic research. Some, not all, but like I received very positive feedback. Now, for the first year, I used what I already had from my book. So presentations on great Italian innovators. You might know some of them, like Enzo Ferrari, the cars, Guglielmo Marconi, radio, Bialetti, the coffee pot, and Montessori, the educator. And in the meantime, I tried to learn how to stay in front of a mic. That's also a skill to develop. Then I started to realize from there that I needed a visual aspect in my presentations. So I made up for my visual references of the audio by creating a blog on my webpage, www.italianinnovators.com. And in the blog, I placed the images I was referring to. In the meantime, as a way to promote the podcast, that was my main concern, my main focus at the beginning. The secretary of my department opened a YouTube account for Italian Innovators, placing the audio episodes there under kind of a steel frame cover. And without doing anything, the channel started to grow much more than the podcast. People listen to audio only on YouTube, and this is a thing. At a certain point, I realized that YouTube offered a solution also to the need I felt to introduce a visual aspect to my show. And the event that actually sparked this kind of interest in YouTube was actually an interview I had with an influencer, a makeup influencer, Cleo Zamateo. She's known as Cleo Makeup. It was kind of a very bold interview between an academic and an influencer. So a lot of visitors actually came to my page after this interview. She has millions of followers on Instagram. And I realized that I had to take this opportunity and expand on my channel, making it more visually compelling. So I added, for the moment, slideshows to my podcast recordings as a way to combine audio and visual aspects. And starting in September, I will post video episodes that I recorded with myself. So as videos with the language of the visual language, these episodes will come out in September, as I was saying. In the meantime, teaching classes for my students and actually preparing video presentations, which were often meant to make up for snow days, I started realizing that I could use YouTube to publish also my course, and in particular, a course on Italian innovation that I've been developing over the years. So from kind of an understanding of Italy's cultural history to an understanding of Italy's position within modernity. I recorded the lessons as a vlog, which is basically an audio on top of a presentation, in this case, a PowerPoint presentation. And the presentation of the course just came out. Now, here is how the show what the show looks like today from my webpage. So the episodes on podcast still, so iTunes, Spotify, and all the major platforms, and YouTube, and the course, which is divided in the 3 modules that you see. Now, in growing as in research, in scholarship, you always need to establish what is called a value proposition. So define a format and also clarify your audience. This is the same thing you do when you make a proposal for a book. So I did the same for the show, and it was very simple. And my value proposition is that Italy represents not just a bunch of ruins, but a model that is admired, and a model of successful entrepreneurship that is admired all over the world, which is placed at the intersection of arts and industry. So it was broad, specific, and flexible enough. Regarding the format, the presentations were of innovators, figures of innovators in the field of music, technology, design. In the second season, I introduced also contemporary figures like, you might know, Ferrero, the father of Nutella, Morricone, who recently passed away, the composer, and Ferruccio Lamborghini with cars. I also introduced interviews with relevant figures. So I interviewed like Mauro Porcini, who is the chief designer of Pepsi, Clio, the influencer. Soon there will be an interview with the former mayor of Rome and surgeon Ignazio Marino. And I also posted kind of lessons of the course and a particular chat on the relationship between literature and innovation. Now, to go back to the show itself, how does this move forward? And I will use 2 images to make my point here. First, you need to turn a bidimensional script into an event, an operatic event. A text is not enough. This is really a movement from being an academic to becoming more entrepreneurial. And you need to break the bidimensionality of the text, turn it into a theatrical event, make it happen. To use a comparison from opera, there were like 2 important librettists in the court of Vienna in the 18th century. One was Metastasio, who was like the most important poet of Vienna, and the other one was Da Ponte. Very few remember Metastasio because his poetry was perfect, but conceived as a monument, the text. Whereas Da Ponte, we all remember Da Ponte because he's the librettist of Don Giovanni, The Marriage of Figaro, and Women Are Like That, the 3 most famous operas by Mozart. And he became famous because he was able to come out of his shell, of the literary shell, and make the text work with music. So collaborate with Mozart to make the text become an event. And how do you become an event? Well, the audience is important here because the audience makes you reassess and reconsider what you know and what you have. They will tell you what they like, and you start entering a dialogue with the audience. And this is really interesting also for an academic because you start having a real dialogue there. Second thing, you need to develop an integrated approach to your brand. And I use the image of the Sforza Castle in Milan because I like the idea of the brand not as just the main tower. People know like the main tower of the castle, but if you see the whole architecture, the main tower is surrounded by many other touch points that make it so beautiful. So not just a YouTube video. YouTube is not about just the video, but what's behind. And my mistake was actually to focus only on my verbal content and not think of all the other things in compartments, not as a unity. So in presenting oneself, you're not a brand, but you're someone with a more complex personality with many angles. And discovering this is actually quite an adventure. Learning how to express this is even more of an adventure. Now, there is no instruction manual for learning this other than the you figure out attitude. So I had to learn, and I'm still learning, how to manage and integrate coherently different aspects. So the script, to learn how to write for video content, not for the academic prose, but real talk. The tools, so recording, mics, cameras, to buy the equipment, some minimal equipment, so screen settings, light, get informed on this. Learn how to edit videos. So this is my editing software. And part of learning a language is learning the craft of a language, because like a text becomes something else when you start working on cuts and the shots. And these are part of what creates the value of a text. I'm sure you've seen videos where the words of a Word file become meaningful because there is music, because there is a particular montage of the images. Now also to learn about the platforms to distribute your contents. So Spreaker is an interesting platform that allows you to upload one audio episode and distribute it to all the most important podcasting platforms. So as I was saying, Spotify and iTunes are the most famous ones. And Spotify is more prominent in the United States, whereas iTunes is more prominent in Asia. To learn how to design a web page. Wix is a common website, but you can use WordPress or Squarespace. So to design a landing site, to design a logo, to reduce what you have, like a big story, to short descriptions. So to do this work, to condense all this story to an image, which is normally what we consume, the thumbnail, is actually a creative work. And it's actually a synthetic intellectual work. And also, lastly, how to work on social media marketing, and to know the different audiences and purposes of different social media. We'll talk about it later with Isabella. Now, what do I gain from this work? So I use the image of a medieval monastery on Lake Maggiore in Italy, where I'm from. I used to go there. And I chose this because it represents the posture I have in front of the out there that the web represents and might seem. Sometimes developing this kind of presence feels like being in a monastery on a rock in front of an endless lake. So here is what you learn in developing a presence there, in making yourself a presence online. First of all, you create value. So it's an investment on yourself, on learning what is your value, and learning to assess that what you have has value. Second, you gain visibility, like this monastery. So to build an audience actually allows you to gain visibility, which might have like direct or indirect advantages. Like one indirect advantage is that, for example, in the publishing industry or in other professions, to have a certain number of subscribers is the bare minimum to be accepted, for them to accept a book proposal. Why? Because a publishing house needs to know that you already have a built-in audience before committing to a contract with you. It's much more common for publishers to publish people who have a social media presence or have subscribers. Visibility also gives you the possibility to become an authority, not because of your titles, but because of what you live and find. There is nothing that moves other people that has not moved you first. What moves you moves other people. If nothing moves you, you won't move other people. So the third thing, you gain kind of a network of people. YouTube and many other social media are about the encounter with people, to break the dimension of your classroom, of your work, the hole where inevitably we all end up. It creates accountability in the sense that to appear systematically, I appear on the 1st of the month and on the 15th, and soon also on the 25th, makes you accountable. You have to be there, and you also have to give yourself some schedule and some rhythm and some momentum going. This is very useful for research, where there are a lot of dead moments, and this keeps you going. And it's kind of a platform that allows your research to become dialogic. And lastly, what you gain is actually the enjoyment of work, to rediscover the enjoyment of rediscovering what you think you know, and actually to see the fruits of your work. Before then, I did not see them. And actually in the profession, the academic profession, sometimes it's very hard to see the fruits of your work. Also as a teacher, you might see them much later. And to see the fruits of your work doesn't mean that they were not there. It means that you start seeing them. These are actually the fruits of the spring by Botticelli. And you always see kind of the main image, but you don't realize that in the image there is something beautiful to enjoy. Now, I also wanted to, at the end, say something about the lecture I will give next week on Wednesday, which is titled, What Does Beauty Have to Do with Innovation, which is a reflection on kind of the Italian case and a synthesis of what we were showcasing of what we discussed in the podcast. I also invite you to visit the YouTube channel where you'll see kind of the episodes of innovators, of the interviews, some videos related to the keywords of the show, and the lessons. I also invite you to subscribe to the channel, of course, but also to really be ambassadors of this project, to get to know it through the webpage and to see it and let me know what you think about it, and write to me about ideas or proposals or your favorite episode. This is what the experience of YouTube is for me, and I leave the room to Isabella before talking too much. Thank you.
Thank you, Luca. Thank you for the wonderful talk. So the thing is that we are asking people to, if you have any question, please kindly write your question in the Zoom group chat, and we will pose the question on your behalf to the speaker. So actually, Luca, we have one question for you. Andrea, he was very eager to know about, so you kind of went very briefly about how to stay in front of a mic. So does this, I mean, apply only to YouTube, or does the skill of staying in front of the mic apply also to Zoom and other
Well,
video
the
calls?
answer is this. So I have, on this Zoom call, I have my mic. The Yeti mic is the top, like with a reasonable price. You can also use for YouTube like a lapel mic, so the ones that you attach to your shirt as a way to have a better sound. And sound makes a difference. There are all small details that all make a difference. So every time you try to improve kind of 1% detail. So mics are one detail. And when we hear kind of noise in the sound, it kind of bothers us. So buying a good mic in Zoom calls, in a podcast, or in YouTube is actually key.
Great. So we have another question. So did your career benefit from your YouTube exposure? So is there like a metric before and after?
No, there's not a metric. There is a network of people, in the sense that this is a way to encounter a lot of people, to showcase my research, to be invited. I was invited recently at Brown University, also at Harvard, to give a presentation about Italian innovators, and also my scholarship. That's kind of my profession. But also the networking and the ability to present oneself with a product that showcases that you're a serious professional. I hope this helps.
Yeah, that's helpful. If you have more question, I think we will have some time at the end. Oh, okay. So
yes,
we have
one
more question. So it says, what sources of information do you recommend to build your content at YouTube?
YouTube is fantastic. It's called the YouTube Creator Academy. If you go online and search for YouTube Creator Academy, it's a whole course that taps into all the touch points of the castle that I was describing earlier, and provides you with the understanding of what you need to know, because some of the things that I mentioned, I learned them along the way, like how to use lighting, how to create a set, how to use them, what kind of mics. So the YouTube Creator Academy is a set of videos that allows you to expand on this.
Oh, I think you should answer this. Were you able to monetize?
On the podcast a little bit, but it's not really on YouTube. I don't have 1,000 subscribers, so this is why you need to be ambassadors of the show.
Okay.
Also, the monetization program is through branding. We can talk about it, like, the more you grow, the more brands are interested in what you do as a way to showcase something to a built-in audience. So you create value as a way to not monetize immediately, but to create an audience. And on this, I think Isabella has more interesting things to say than me. Instagram is the same.
Okay. So before moving to Isabella, oh, we have one more question. How long did it take you to get to this point?
I'm at the beginning of the 3rd season, and I moved to YouTube in April. I really started doing this seriously 3 months ago. Before, it was a podcast. Now I'm kind of shifting from the podcast to YouTube.
All right. So we'll have some more time of question at the end of Isabella's talk. So let's move on to hear more from Isabella about her perspective of online presence, but not using YouTube, but using Instagram. Isabella, the floor is yours.
Hi everyone. So I'm just gonna share my screen here with my presentation. So I'm Isabella. I'm a digital marketing strategist. And just so you know, I'm gonna have my notes on paper on top of my PowerPoint just because I'm not super professional speaker. So just to summarize what I do, I work with entrepreneurs and small business owners to build an online presence and to use the online tools to scale their businesses. Okay, so we're gonna start introducing the concept of digital marketing, just so we can understand everything I'm gonna say after. Okay, gonna go. Okay. So digital marketing at a high level refers to advertising delivered through digital channels such as search engines, websites, social media, email, and mobile apps. So that means like a way of putting a business in front of their target audience using the digital channels. So another concept that is very important to the digital marketing world is the concept of content marketing. Content marketing is very similar to what Luca was saying, because it's a way of a business owner or an entrepreneur deliver valuable content to a target audience with time and frequency. The frequency is very important. This person is going to become an authority in that specific subject. So like it's a proven valuable content. So the audience with time proves that content is really valuable. And then they recognize this person as an authority in that subject. And then a very important aspect is also to build a relationship with this audience that can be done like in these different social media platforms. And this relationship with time and with this valuable content is going to become a relationship of trust. And then the final step of the cycle is the conversion, when the business owner or the entrepreneur is ready to make an offer. And because they already have such a strong relationship of trust through this valuable content, they are able to do this conversion much easier to their target audience. So I really like an analogy that says, you don't buy a pair of jeans without first trying them on, right? So it's the same thing when you're like you're building your online presence because of your business online, so you show and you prove that you are really good at what you do and you work really well, and you show like daily how you work and how you make decisions and how you deal with certain situations, and your audience understand how it is, so they're ready to buy from you. The same thing as trying a pair of jeans before you buying them. So the question of this presentation here, this encounter here today, is why should you consider developing an online presence? So I chose like 4 main reasons. The first one is because of the reach of the online world. So the online world doesn't have borders, so you can work with people all over the world there, and you can reach much more people. There are tools and formats of communication that make people like me, they're not professional communicators, finding their way to deliver valuable content to their audience. You can build relationship with a lot of people, so you can have encounters like one-to-many people or one-on-one. They also have tools for that, and they scale, the ability to scale your business and not depend on like your time and your hour rate, but also like by actually like sell something that is going to be useful for a lot of people at the same time. My experience with digital marketing, it started about 8 months ago. On Instagram, actually, I found an account from a guy in Brazil that talks about digital marketing, and I started to be very interested on that. And for two reasons, I decided to actually work with that and make that my like full-time job now. The first one is that I can work with business owners and entrepreneurs very closely, because I'm transforming their business sometimes from like a physical thing to an online business. And that it makes me very close to the core of the business and to work very close with their dreams and challenges. And the second thing is the facility to work from home and from anywhere in the world, basically, and to be able to manage my personal life and my professional life, so I can make my own hours. I can work in the evenings if I need to, which is very useful for me. But you might be wondering, what exactly do I do, right? So there are three main things that I do right now. But in digital marketing in general, digital marketing strategies can do much more than that, okay? So the first one is social media management. So I help with this business owners and entrepreneurs build an engaged audience on social media. So right now I work with Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest because the specific business of my clients. Because different platforms have different purpose. So like, as Luke was saying, you know, like YouTube is a lot about entertainment, but it's also about learning new things. LinkedIn is a lot about professional relations and like networking. And then Instagram is very much about entertainment, but we're gonna talk about this later. The second thing is to establish and strengthen the relationship of the business owner with their audience. So that happens through an email list or Facebook groups, because these two formats guarantee that the content is going to arrive to the audience. Because on social media, you don't know, like you depend a lot on the algorithm and if the person is going to enter or not social media. On email, you are sure that the email is going to arrive in the person's inbox. You don't know if they're going to open, but you're sure it's going to arrive. So this is something that I help with these entrepreneurs and business owners to do. And then the last thing is to launch an online course or a online product, and that's a way of scaling the business. So I said all of that about delivering the value and developing an audience, and for other business. But what about my business, right? Like, I am my own business, so I should do the same thing. So I chose Instagram to build my presence. So I chose Instagram to build my own online presence. And why? So I brought some information about the platform. So the first one is about the numbers of the platform. So it has more than 1 billion users that are active every month. And 90% of the accounts follow a company, which is like a business account. A little bit about the demographics is that the platform is very young. So most of the people are between 18 and 34 years old, and gender-wise, it's pretty well divided. About the content. So Instagram has a very short lifetime content. What does that mean? The way the algorithm of Instagram works is that you post something. No, actually, when you enter the platform, and you're gonna see a lot of posts, just like Facebook. You scroll down and you see posts from other people, and all of that. So what is it that Instagram is gonna show you first? Instagram is gonna show you first the posts that you're more likely to engage with, according with your past activities in the platform. So it uses machine learning to understand, according to your past patterns in the platform, what is it that you're most likely to engage with. And that's the content that is going to show you. So a content that doesn't, a lot of people don't engage with, is going to have a very, very, very short lifetime. So Instagram is going to show it to less and less people. And a content that a lot of people engage with is going to have a longer lifetime, but not that much longer. It's a platform that changes a lot all the time. So new content all the time. The second point is that it's a platform of entertainment, as I was saying before. So people go to Instagram to relax, to interact and connect with other people, and to have fun. So the platform is built with tools that make the content more fun. It's different from YouTube, that you just upload a video, and if you want to make it fun, you have to make it yourself with your tools, and you just upload the video there. Instagram has the tools inside the platform. So for example, one of the formats of content is called stories. Stories are like pictures or videos that are going to stay up for only 24 hours. Inside the stories, they have stickers that help the engagement with the audience. So they have polls, question box, GIFs. These things are like ways for you to ask the audience to answer, or to like make the video or the picture more fun. You can add filters to make your face funny, like all of that. The other formats of the platforms are videos, posts, which are the picture with the caption, the stories, which are the ones that I just said, and live videos. And it also has direct messages, which is the way of you to have a one-on-one conversation with the person in your audience, which is really an advantage. So Instagram really helps you build the relationship and have this interaction one-on-one with people. The challenges of the platform are that it requires frequency. So what does that mean? It means that if you don't post every day or like many times a week, it's very easily you're not going to be remembered by your audience. So if you're a business or like a business owner, entrepreneur, like you want to use the platform to make sure that your target audience, your prospective clients, are seeing you all the time and remember that you exist. The platform requires that then you have to post every day. Otherwise, they're going to show you your content one day to people, and for like 5 days, they're not going to show it anymore, and you're just going to disappear, and they're going to forget about it because they have tons of other content to see every day, all the time. So it's very easy to get forgotten there. So it requires a frequency. And the other thing is that success is very related to engagement, which means that you cannot post anything you want the way you want. I mean, you can if you want, but if you want to be successful as a business there on Instagram, you have to like use certain strategies to be liked by Instagram. Let's say it this way, because you have to because the way the algorithm works, as I was saying before, is that it's not going to read and look at every piece of content and be like, oh yeah, this is nice, oh, this is not nice, and then it's going to choose what it's going to show. No, it reads what people are engaging with. So like, for example, one post has like 10 likes and 7 savings and 5 comments and 3 shares, and the other one has way more than that, then the second one is going to be shown to more people. It's going to be like the winner post, and it's going to have more space in the platform than the one that had less engagement. So like, there are strategies to make a post more easily engageable. I don't know if this word exists, but like that people engage more with. Like, for example, you ask a question in the end of your caption and ask people to comment the answer, or you say like, save this post because you're gonna want to read this later, or share this with your friend, or tag here a friend that would like to see this. Like, there are many strategies to make your post more engageable and then have more success inside the platform. So I chose Instagram for many reasons, but mainly because it's a very easy way to create an engaged audience and to have a relationship with these people. So I have my own account on Instagram so this is my account on Instagram, and it was actually the very first thing that I created in my business because I was like still understanding if I wanted to work with digital marketing or not. So I decided to create this account to tell my journey, and to just have like a place to say the things that I was learning and to test, mainly to test everything that I was learning. And then slowly, like people got interested, and the account was growing. Still not very big, but I was able to connect with a lot of people, and I'm starting to build my own brand there. And my brand, like as Luca was saying, it's more than like just the tower, but it's like a lot of pillars to it. Like it's the way you communicate, the way you position yourself there. So slowly I'm building my brand there. And the most interesting thing is that I am building a lot of connections. And like in this past few months that I have this account, I was able to do like Zoom calls with people all over the US, even in Canada, to discuss and to understand like their experience and like what is happening in their business and their needs. And so it has been very interesting. And I like the most funny thing is that I've never made an offer in this account. I never said like this is the services that I offer, anything like that. But I did get all my clients through this account. I did meet all of these people through the account. So yeah, I mean, this is a little bit of my journey, and you guys can ask questions if you have. I speak a little fast, so I'm sorry about that. But thank you.
Thank you, Isabella. It was really wonderful. So I will I'll leave the floor for any questions. But yeah, we have. So okay, one question that we have is, do you do any outbound marketing and sales for your services? Do you post thought leadership too?
What is that? If I post?
I mean, basically, do you have motivational, message through Instagram?
No.
Okay.
What do you mean? I didn't understand the question. Sorry.
I mean, basically, is it? Do you only do sales and marketing through your Instagram, or do you also do other kinds of work?
Yeah, on my Instagram, I share the things that I learn about digital marketing to help other entrepreneurs do their work in their channels on their Instagram accounts. So like things about hashtags, like how to use hashtags, I do a really good research and then I share that, or like things like that, or I share a little bit of my experience, how it's been for me to build my own online channel.
If I may add, this is also a different conception of advertising, from a one-way communication to a two-way communication, what the social media are about. So in the sense, you don't need to advertise in kind of a top-down manner as we were used to, but actually the engagement with people is the content of the advertising. Yeah,
it's really interesting. Like one of the clients that I have, like she contacted me, but like I saw that previously, like months ago, one day, like she posted that she was having trouble doing something on Instagram, and I was like, oh, let me help you, like really quick, like I had a small conversation with her, and then another day we had a small conversation because she was camping and it was interesting, and then she remembered me, because of that. She was like, I need you, like I know it's you, like it's really interesting because I helped her before, I had this relationship that she was watching my stories, she was following my posts, and and like because of this interaction.
So so another question from the same person is, so for both of you, user engagement is sufficient to build your business?
It's been.
Okay.
I mean, my business is really recent and small, so like at the same time that I'm still learning new skills and then like establishing my business, I'm already like doing work for clients. So the work for clients that I have all right now, it's really enough, and it's the one that I just got from my Instagram.
There's also another question: how do you get people to click on your content, which is similar, which relates to one technical aspect. There is an algorithm that allows you to be more visible, or for your contents to appear more or more often. And this relates to what Isabella was saying about frequency. The more frequent your communication is, the more this enters into kind of a cycle. The other aspect is, well, the only way for people to click on your content is the quality of your content. So your authority, what I was saying, like to build an authority, not because of any title, but because you're someone you can not rely upon, but like you can engage with. And this is the same way for me as a consumer. I go and I remember the websites that leave an impression on me because of their content, if I start clicking. But there's also a 1 second dimension of the click because of the visual synthetic representation of my content. So the logo, the thumbnail, Instagram, the image. So there is a very quick consumption. If you think about it, it's also the way we are on Amazon, and we flip through products or we flip through books. Cover is the facade where we enter in contact, where the contact between the consumer and the producer, the content producer, happens. And in this sense, to design a facade is to really reflect on what is the face, what are the elements that characterize your business or your brand or your service. SEO is also important for marketing, yes. And there are several ways to improve it. Maybe Isabel, you can say something more about it, but like.
Yeah, SEO is not really something that I'm specialized in, but yeah, definitely it's important, especially like if you have a blog or website, or if you use like Pinterest. It's very important to use SEO, which is like understanding the keywords that you're gonna use and how like people are searching. So like there is a website that I like a lot. It says, I think it's called Ask the People or something. Let me double check. But it says it shows what people are asking on Google or like typing on Google related to a specific topic. It is called Answer the Public. Sorry. It's called answerthepublic.com. So it's basically you put like a topic there, and then you put like if you're like researching the US and in English, and then it says like for the like in the recent times like what people are researching on Google on that specific topic.
Also, SEO it also relates to the understanding of the keywords that you were saying, where keywords are not like a simplification of your content, but the way in which your content becomes reachable. In the academic context, people are always very specific, but the labels are actually very useful. When we enter a store, we always go look for labels because they offer categories or places where we can look for, I don't know, a t-shirt or pants or whatever we're looking at. In the same way as, you know, your brand is about in certain keywords, so design, fashion, education, and this is the same for a CV or where you position yourself in the market. My general market is called education, which is not necessarily what I do. Yes, it's certainly what I do, but it's a very, very, very broad category. So the broad category has a value. It's not a simplification.
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of strategies do you use to create content every day? And how can you find new contents?
There's actually like a paper that I was doing today. Let me see if I find it. Yeah, there's like a tool that I was like working on today, which is basically like understanding what is your offer. So like, what is it that you offer, right? Like I'm working with Pilates teacher. So she's a Pilates teacher for postnatal moms, okay, postnatal women. And then like, this is, what is your offer? Like I'm offering classes, blah, 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 something. And then after that, you open that in branches, which are content pillars, which are more broad, but are directly related to what you sell. What do you sell? And then after that, you open to subcategories, which are a little more focused. And then after that, you open in like post titles. And then you have like a branch of things that are going to open, and it helps you if you write down and understand like how things are related. And then you use this list of topics to write about. The other thing is to ask your audience, you know, like Luca was saying, like your audience is going to tell you, and like ask these questions, you know, either like send up forms to people that you interact with you and ask, what are your challenges? What are your needs? Or just like one-on-one interactions small with people.
Also, the audience is how many people look at your video or put a like. That's also another indicator. They tell you what kind of content they like. Mm-hmm. Now, in terms of like strategies to create content, well, there are several layers. On the one hand, there is kind of like the day-to-day appearance frequency accountability on social media. On the other hand, there is kind of, in the case of YouTube, the ability to manage your creative energy and to kind of maintain yourself creating, finding ideas, which is living, reading newspapers, something that catches your attention and you want to develop. And this is a way to create content. I don't create content because of a certain strategy in a way. I create content that is meaningful and relevant for me. And the more the content is relevant for you, the more it carries people over with you. And if people don't like it, they don't like it. If they like it, they like it. That's very simple.
And there's a lot about the combination of the content and the format that you're communicating that content.
Yeah,
so
the
like
format must be, kind of.
Yeah, and also like if you say in a way that you're more like happy, because sometimes like I do a plan of things like, oh, this day I'm gonna post this and this day I'm gonna post that, and then when I get to the specific date, I don't want to talk about this topic, you know, like, so like the way I'm gonna deliver that is gonna be awful because I don't want to talk about that, you know. So it's like it has to be something that it's right there that you're working on, or like, you know, something that you're gonna share because you're thinking, how can I help these people? Like, what is it gonna be useful for them? So that's also helpful.
This is the two terms of what you say are like authenticity and genuineness. These are key in social media. They're not machines. Like the more you're authentic, the more you're genuine, the more you're real, the more you become a real presence. So it's all about being fake.
Yeah, and another thing is like to act as a human, you know, because it's super easy there to like, you know, just follow tons of accounts and, you know, like do things that are almost automations and not really connect with people. But it makes all the difference when you treat a person like a person in social media. That's how you connect, and that you win so many points with that person, you know. Like it's different, like it's different than just like posting content. When you make a connection with the person, they like you more, and you know, like it's just, I don't know, the interaction is much better.
Wonderful. Are there any other question for Luca and Isabella? So we have just started just a poll, which is an end of meeting surveys. So if you could just kindly fill it up for us, that will help us gauge for the next meetings that we would like to have. So thank you, Luca. Thank you, Isabella. It was really wonderful to have you and give us this very nice dialogue and conversation about developing our online presence. I think for sure this would motivate many of us to explore this avenue, both professionally and personally. So I think it was I personally really took a lot of message out of all these talks, so it was really helpful for me. So thank you. One thing that I want to advertise is basically on September 16th we will essentially have another a seminar. So let's see, let me share this screen with you. Okay, so essentially we will have so our topic in this is basically emergence of data science, present and future. It will be given by Elena and Jeff Goldsmith. So we will send an invitation to register for this event pretty soon. But just to let everybody know, so on September 16th, same time, around 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, we will have our next seminar. So if there are no other questions for our speakers, I think it was very engaging for all of us. So I think we can all call it a night. Thank you very much. Thank you,
Thank you.
everybody, for attending.
Thank you.
Thank you.